Good evening, everyone. I'm Carrie. This is Still on Chit-Chat. I would like to thank you for joining me for this very, very late night upload. I'm wide awake. I have my hot cider here. It is Saturday. Thank you for being here. This episode ran about 8 hours ago today. Am I being too serious about paying off debt? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to check this out. Let's hit it.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Steven, how can we help?
Hi, Steven.
Oh, hi guys. Thanks for taking the call.
You bet. What's going on?
So I'm looking for some advice. Me and my wife just recently got on the Ramsey plan. We're on baby step 2. And I'm a full-time high school teacher. And I've taken a part-time EMS job when I'm out on vacation and on the weekends and stuff. And
Sounds wonderful. We are starting off on the right foot, people. Don't forget your tea.
do some food delivery to try to just pack as much money as we can to this debt.
Wow.
But I'm afraid that my wife's getting overwhelmed by it. So
Because you're not home.
What's going on, man? You're pretty emotional right now. What are you feeling?
It's like a baby Christian. I don't want to be so intense that she's like, oh, you won't let us do anything and this and that.
Okay. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. You won't let us do anything. If someone is saying that to their partner, then it tells me they are not as much on the same page with, at least, if nothing else, how to get out of debt. They may be on the same page that they want to get out of debt, that they agree they have too much, debt, which is a good first start. Okay. Honey, it's like we have a lot of debt. We want to get out of debt. Okay. That's a really good first step, but that's only the first step. And I think it's neat that we're actually hearing this, because we forget that wanting to get out of debt and knowing that you need to, and even knowing what your bills are. But when it comes to how are you going to do it, that's the equation that can make or break it. Make or break getting out of debt, and even make or break a relationship.
What's going on?
I don't know how to have that.
What's
I don't know
she
how to
saying?
have that conversation.
Well, take us to what's going on with you guys relationally. What are you feeling from her? What are you hearing from her that you would call us about this?
Well, for instance, she works full time at home. We have 2 kids,
Okay.
and so when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go. I have a goal to make $50 a day with food delivery,
Okay.
5 days a week. So that's an extra $1,000 a month. And then on Saturdays, I go work this EMS job, which are 24-hour shifts,
Oh man.
and that's an extra $360 each day I do that. But she still is like, well, you think you can stay home tonight so that we can clean the house and get ready for our
Next
Christmas
week.
brunch that's coming up.
I think when, of course, when I was married, we never discussed debt. I mean, beyond just, what bill is due this month. We never had, none of my relationships, married and unmarried, have I ever really discussed, hey, what are the debts that, are that we have, and what do we need to get rid of? I don't think, well, one of the things Dave Ramsey would say is he'd say, you need to lay out the plan together. So I'm thinking, I don't think that they perhaps laid out the plan together, because she's saying, well, you never let us, like it's a parent to child relationship, which means there is a possibility. And I'm not blaming the husband by any means. Okay. Way too early to put blame on anybody. Okay. But it kind of gives me the impression that perhaps he dictated the budget. And I can tell you, getting myself out of debt, I had treats all along the way. Let me tell you, if you think when I got this condo in 2020, had it paid off fall of 2022, I had treats all along the way. Possibly even a few too many treats. Okay. But I made sure that I had treats set up. And I'm wondering if in this particular relationship with this caller, Stephen, did Stephen perhaps dictate too much of the budget, okay? And she perhaps wasn't communicating with him. She was just kind of going along with him, going, okay, honey, that's what you want until, the rope snaps, string breaks, whatever.
And I'm like, well, do you think that maybe you could pick up a little bit of that so that we can continue to stay on plan?
Okay, I see what's going on here.
And then I get kind of negative feedback. Well, so now you're not here to help around in the house and stuff like that.
This woman needs to understand that Stephen is the type of guy probably women who would like to get out of debt with would love to have. You can't tell your partner you want to get out of debt and you want it as fast as possible. We don't know if she said that or not, but let's just hypothetically say she loves the idea of getting out of debt. She wants it done as fast as possible. But then you turn around, you blame your spouse for doing the exact thing that you want them to do. Now, again, I don't know if she actually said to him, honey, get us out of debt. But if by chance she did tell him that, then she really should not be turning around and making him feel guilty for working, basically, it sounds like his ass off to get them out of debt. But at the same time, there's also a line, whereas when I was getting out of debt, it was just me. Okay, I had myself and my reflection to talk to. But if you have someone else that's also involved in the getting out of debt, there really needs to be a meeting of the minds. And I really think that's what they're lacking here.
Let me ask a couple clarifying questions. When you said she works full-time, does she work full-time as a stay-at-home mom, or does she work full-time at a job that is work from home?
Yeah, a job that work from home.
Okay, but the kids are also there too, so that kind of falls on her as well.
Right, when they're not in school, like right now, we're on Christmas break.
I totally get that. Okay, and then can you tell me how much debt do you guys have? Because I'm trying to understand. I mean, I get the intensity, but I just want to get a bigger picture. Okay,
so we have about $26,000 in cars and credit cards.
Break it down.
And
what's the cars and what's the credit cards?
My wife's car's almost paid off. It's got $3,000 left. My truck's got $11,000 left, and then we have about $15,000 in credit cards.
Okay.
And then another $10,000 around that I owe to my mother-in-law.
So
to my stepmother,
what's the payoff date if you didn't miss any night scheduled? You've got this thing figured out. If you stay on this pace, what do you anticipate the day would be? How far in the future before you pay off this debt?
I told my wife we can do it in 6 months. Not our house. I have a house.
Sure. So let me just tell you, hey.
23 on that.
So Steve.
Okay, says they could do it in 6 months. Could they, just throwing a carrot out there, an idea, could they possibly compromise and say, okay, we'll do it in 4 months? If it allows them a little bit more time together, a little bit more R&R, so to speak. When I paid off my condo, I could have paid it off faster than 2022. Okay. But I was like, I could pay it off in 2 years if I did absolutely nothing. Or I could pay it off in 2.5 years if I allowed myself, treats and rewards and, little fun stuff all throughout. Okay. And we're talking little things, nothing overly dramatic, because I was paying off $50,000 in 2.5 years on a single teacher's income. That might be a fair compromise. But at the same time, she needs to realize, I'm going to assume that he is the bulk of the breadwinner percentage-wise with all of his outside the house jobs. Okay? She needs to cut him some slack. And she needs to see the big picture. I'm the type of person that I have a really good ability to look long range. I can look way, way down the road. It's how I managed to stay in one school, one spot until my student loan was paid off, and that took 16 years of teaching to do it. One school, one spot. Some people are like, how did you stay at the same place? Because I look at the really long-term picture. It's why I knew I needed to have a job. I needed a career. I didn't need a job. I needed a career by the time before I turned 40. And I got it before I was 38. In other words, I have the ability to look not just long-term, but to stick to it. It seems to me, if they only have 6 months left to get this done, the wife, and I'm not blaming her, not at this point, okay? But it just seems to me that she should be able to back up her husband and say, let's do this. We're going to go gung-ho. That would just be me. But if he wanted to placate a little bit, he could say, okay, we'll take it from 6 months. Excuse me. I think I took it in the wrong direction. I said 4 months. I mean, we can take it from 6 months to 8 months. And if that additional 2 weeks, we can, break up, throughout that 8 months, we can break up, little reward cycles, then that's fine. But what you have to be careful of is that those reward cycles, don't have you spending so much money that you don't actually meet the new deadline to get out of debt.
Steven, so man to man here. I love this intensity, but this is a 6 month window. It'd be different if this were a 6 year and you guys had to be that intense. I love the intensity. I think you have to downshift in moments like this. When your wife is giving you the signal, you read it, man. You've been married long enough, going after it. But if there's a holiday party in the situation you gave us, I think the answer, and this is not criticism, you called. So I'm going to tell you as a dude, just my take here, in that situation, you take the night off from gazelle intensity and you jump in and help her out. Mm-hmm. I think if you guys were in much bigger debt and it were far more intense, I think there's a conversation to be had to say, hey, babe, I got to do this. We got to be all in. But I think given this situation, I don't think this is 3 or 4 nights a week. I think you sit down with her and go, hey, I'm doing this to sprint, hang in there. But if you need that kind of emergency situation, raise your hand, and I'm going to be more sensitive next time, and I'll jump in. That would...
And I agree. I agree with Kit on that, because the other part is, it would be interesting to know though, just how much of a say she had in this budget. In other words, not so much in the budget is what it is, but how much say did she have in setting up the gazelle intensity? Okay, how much say did she have? But either way, she is a big girl. She can put on her big girl pants, and she can understand that her husband's doing everything they can to get out of debt. And I agree with Ken. And this is, a one party, I get party day or two, whatever it is. Okay. And to do that, and that's fine. But anybody, we can deal with intensity for 6 months, but, placate a little here and there. The bigger goal is to stay on board and to finish the goal. And I'm telling you, there are people, I know people, who can't even, they're so lazy that they won't even go put in a job application to get a part-time job, even though they really, really, really need the money. I know about maybe 1 or 2 people like that. Okay. And I always think to myself, we seem to have 2 extremes here. Stephen may be a bit on the extreme of gazelle intensity, because he does have to take his partner, his spouse, into consideration. And then you got the other extreme, that won't do anything. So there's got to be some sort of midway, but a little bit closer to the gazelle intensity, depending upon your debt load. His debt load really isn't horrible and awful. They can get through this.
Would be my take in this situation.
What's you guys' combined income yearly? You mentioned all the things you're doing, but what does that amount to?
Yeah. So that's recent, the EMS job and stuff. But so right now we make about 110 gross together, just at our regular jobs. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking to bring in. I got planned to bring in 3,000 extra a month, so about 30,000 more. So maybe about 140,000.
Fantastic.
This guy is amazing, ladies. When you're in debt, and you're in it together, this is the type of person you're going to need. This is the type of person, someone who says, you know what, we together, will fight this debt. And she is staying at home to take care of the kids, and she works too. So we have to give her kudos for that, because she is able to be home with the kids, and that's important.
Stay on this track.
Okay, so you're basically saying our normal budget stays the same, and I'm side hustling to pay off. I get
it. If their debt were much higher, and we know we've had bedtime stories on this, people. Okay, much higher, where we've gone, oh my goodness, you cannot be a stay-at-home mom. You need to go out and you need to get a I don't like to say a real job, okay? But you need to go out and get a much more aggressive job. You need to find a much more aggressive way to bring in income. And we've done bedtime stories like that.
That caused a little trouble too, because then we stripped the budget way down as well. We cut off some streaming services.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It almost needs to be one or the other, because you've got $39,000 of debt, and you just outlined a plan where you're side hustling to bring in an extra almost $40,000. So if the side hustling alone is paying off the debt, then I'm trying to find a way where you guys can balance this out a little bit more. Does that make sense? Because
I understand.
If you're gonna bring in $40,000 a year, and this is a full year play, as opposed to you just trying to, to Ken's point, just squeak this thing out in 6 months, I do think that, if you can get her on board, fine. But like Ken said, if she's having these moments where she's throwing a flag on the play, listen, we haven't seen you. We don't even remember what you look like, dude. You do have to cool out for a minute, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I think there's room for you to take the pedal off the metal just a little bit.
And I agree. And like I said, their debt really isn't that bad. Okay? And they're being responsible. They're putting a stop to it before it gets worse. Now, I think he said this doesn't include their mortgage, but that's okay. It's not like he's going, gee, I have $175 in student loans.
Yeah.
I meant $175,000 in student loans.
Right, great. Because I don't want to burn her out. So I guess that's
very
what
smart.
I was looking for, to say.
Your instincts are right.
Yeah, she's like a baby bird. Sometimes you got to get them to keep coming to you.
Steven, I think your instincts are right. You called us. We're validating your instincts. Your instincts are right. You're pushing.
All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and end it at this portion of the video. I do stop these once I think we get the gist. All right. Anybody up for another video? Anybody up back row? What time is it? We're in about probably 10:20 or so. How about we do another one? Let's do it. All right. Pause if you need to. And we are going to kick it right into the next one. Isn't this fun? Oh, my goodness. All right. Let's see how well set up my screen is. Hold on here. Oh, and there it is. All right, people. This is from... What is this from? 2 years ago. I have $300,000 in non-mortgage debt. Now, as we all know, it does not matter how old or new, a video is. We can learn from every financial situation. New, old, doesn't matter. All right, here we go, folks. It's a 9-minute video, so let's see if I can keep this from being an hour. I try so hard, but sometimes there's just a lot to say. I'm so glad you're here with me. For those who are hitting the hay after the first bedtime story, I would like to thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. But for those who would like to stick around for the second bedtime story, let's kick it off.
Michael is in Sacramento. Hey,
Hi,
Michael.
Michael.
Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. I've just got such a predicament. I'm 54 years old. I've got my primary residence. I've got so much credit debt. I've got about $10,000 in credit card debt, but I probably have about $300,000 total in non-mortgage debt.
Oh, the tea is warming up. It's warming up. Matter of fact, it's probably boiling at this point, and we're just seconds into this video. All right, people. Let's find out what's going on. Let's find out what we can learn. Always remember, the purpose of this channel is really, the crux of it is that we can learn from it. Forget everything else I chit-chat about. It's really about what can we learn.
And I just feel like I'm spinning my wheels, and I don't know what to attack first.
And that's what happens. He says he's spinning his wheels. What I discover is that when you are seriously in debt, and I've said it before, it's almost like you are so far in debt, it doesn't matter what you do. It does not put a dent in the bill. It just doesn't put a dent in it. You know, you have, I don't know, let's just say $80,000 on a student loan. You put in $15,000 and you feel like you've done nothing, even though you have. Okay, you're at 65, but that 65 still seems so far. This is one of the reasons we need to stop our debt in its tracks when we first start recognizing we might have a problem. Before we even get to we might have a problem, I would just like to go, oh, gee, you know what? I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable. Before we get to the word problem, before we even hit the word problem, I'm feeling uneasy. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Not, oh my God, we have a crisis on our hands. This is why that last call that we just did, okay, about the one with the guy who's just doing an unbelievable job with his gazelle intensity to the point that his wife is going, whoa, back up. Okay. This is, what was I just going to say? Hold on here. Did I even remember what I was going to say? Oh, do I remember? Well, I had a really good point that I was going to say. I can't remember. Guys, it's getting kind of late, but hey, we will push forward. I can't remember what I was going to say. If I remember it, I'll let you know. Oh, yes. I remember what I was going to say. Love me, love the mistakes on this channel. I don't edit this stuff out. You know, I just don't. Okay. It's reality. We deal with real life here. Okay. So what I was going to say about the gazelle intensity, the guy in the last video, okay, he's doing it right. They're only like 30,000 or so in debt. Of course, not counting the house. Okay. But he sees it already. He's like, whoa, we need to stop. We need to do something. And that's what he's doing. That's the point that we wanted. We don't want this. I'm $300,000 in non-mortgage debt. So now add in the mortgage, right?
I just feel lost.
What is the other 290,000?
The other 290,000 is between student loans, lines of credit, loans that I had to take when I got divorced about 12 years ago.
Isn't lines of credit just like credit cards? I mean, my credit union, I have a line of credit. I never use it except to pay the bug guy just to keep it active. But that's an LOC to me would be very much just like a credit card. Almost.
I had a house that we were trying to sell, and I told the bank that if you let me sell this and not go to foreclosure, I will take on that loan as a personal debt because I pay my bills.
Okay. I respect that people say, I pay my bills. They take the sword, they, stab into the ground. They stand and they go, by golly, I pay my bills. Don't forget when Dave Ramsey was in over his head as a youngster. I believe it was in his 20s, maybe late 20s, early 30s. He went bankrupt. I've gone bankrupt once, twice. Okay. There comes a point where you have to realistically look at your situation and go, what am I going to fight? You know, we all want to pay our bills. I wanted to pay my $110,000 student loan. I had every intention of paying it. Okay. I was unprepared for the debt to income ratio of teachers, in relation to what they get paid. I failed to do my research on it. We can't allow our ego to get in the way of common sense. I would have told the guy foreclose on the house. If it's between foreclosing on the house and dealing with this, and this divorce was 12 years ago, you should have foreclosed on the house. Now we'll have to find out how much of it is student loan. Because at this debt level, there's the potential for bankruptcy on the horizon. But we won't jump to that yet.
So I did that, and I've been paying on that ever since. So, and then a variety of other loans.
How much is that loan?
That loan is $50,000 at 4%.
Okay. And how much is a student loan?
Student loan is $67,000.
And the cars are what?
The cars total 90,000.
90,000 for the cars? Is this part of the divorce? Holy jeez.
Two cars.
And what's your household income?
170 salary, and then I just recently had an opportunity, which I started to make an extra $3,500 a month for overtime. It's going to be consistent.
Excellent. So 210.
I have a pension.
And what is your home worth?
My home is worth $900,000, and I owe $575 on it.
He's too debt heavy. You know, one thing about being broke that I've learned, I'm not as easily mesmerized with people's houses, in the sense of you're living in a big house, but you're carrying a crap load of debt. Okay? That maybe just comes with maturity. I'm not as easily in awe, I guess. You know, I can look at a house now and go, okay, what's it going to cost to replace that roof when you need to replace it? It's just my thought. Don't get me wrong. I would love to live in a nice house. But I love having control of my debt more. This guy has he's too debt heavy. His income's not bad. Okay. But he did say that was overtime. Okay. So suck it up and, you know, you get the overtime. I think that's what he said. Well, he can, but he shouldn't be, it is my belief, he should not be in a house that size carrying this much debt. It's almost, what is it? It's almost like I get the impression that he's trying to live the life that he perhaps lived when he was married and perhaps didn't carry that debt. And then the divorce came. I'm just sort of guessing here. And then the divorce came and he's still trying to live that lifestyle, but now carrying that debt and the divorce debt. It's just a thought. Don't know.
What do you do for a living?
And I have 2 rental properties. I'm a physician assistant.
Oh, okay.
What is up with so many of these doctors being broke? I mean, just...
And you have 2 rental properties, and what are they worth?
Let's see. I have one in Montana that's worth $310,000, and I owe $230,000 on it.
Did you see? The guy doesn't have anything paid off. You see? He's got all this stuff, but nothing's actually paid off. And when I say paid off, we're talking it's not even near paid off. It's like he's perhaps trying to buy his way into happiness, but he's sinking himself in the end.
And I have one in Idaho that's worth $325,000, and I owe $330 on it.
Are we, audience? Are we seeing this? So we've just heard about 2 properties. One of them I don't think he's got $20,000 paid off of. And the other one he's barely made a dent in. He shouldn't be owning this stuff. When you have this much, oh wow. You know what? It almost makes me, he would be the type of person, let me back up. He would be the type of person that if I didn't know anything about the background scene of his debt, all I had was the visuals, the house, almost a, $800,000-900,000 house. Hell, we could just say it's a mill. Yeah. Let's just say you pull up, you pick me up on a date. Okay, you got the house. You have two cars. They're $90,000 between the 2 cars. You have 2 pieces of property. You on the outside, he looks terrific. Michael looks terrific on the outside. Could probably pick up the ladies, no problem. And then you open up the portfolio and it's like, you owe on this, you owe on this, you're top heavy on that, your DTI, your debt to income ratio is all topsy-turvy. He needs to dump the 2 properties, downsize on the house, get rid of a car, or if they have to have 2 cars, get rid of both cars, get into much more modest cars. But chances are they're upside down severely on the cars. I'm wondering if this was all bought from his divorce, or is this stuff that he purchased after his divorce? Either way, he does not have money management.
and then I have a pension of 600,000.
Pension don't matter squat if you're going in with all this debt. That 600,000 would, get rid of the 2 properties. That's what I would do. But he owes on the property, so he won't make anything. He'll make barely anything. On one property, basically make squat, and the other one, he might get out with a little bit.
That I can have once I'm in 11 years, or I can take that's a lump sum, where I can take $3,000 a month annuity.
Okay, well, he and I are basically, because I can retire in 12 years. I'll have a teacher pension. So let's just put that aside, because you don't want to mess with your retirement. You really, really don't, okay? He needs to sell all that stuff and perhaps come down to earth just a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, how much do you want to be out of this mess? Really bad, or it's just sort of bothering you?
No, I've lived like this my entire life, and when I got divorced, the other problem.
Are you ready to get your life back?
That's the problem. Did I not say, snaps? Did I not say just a few minutes ago? Did I not say? I wondered, to me, the impression is he's living like he was when he was married, and then he got divorced, and now he's got the marriage debt, the divorce debt. It's like he doesn't know, or perhaps doesn't want, to downsize. Okay? It's like when you go from a 2-income family to a 1-income family, but you're still trying to live like you are a 2-income family. I'm telling you, this is the type of guy that truly could impress the ladies initially. Right? He could impress the ladies initially. Sometimes I wonder if that has anything to do with it. How much of it, and I'm just questioning, okay? How much of this that he doesn't want to get rid of it because it's an ego boost to him? You can sit there and go, oh yes, but I have a piece of property in Montana, and then I can't remember the 2 states. Don't ask me at 10:30 at night to remember all the details here, okay? But and I have 2 pieces of property, yes, and I drive 2 luxury cars. Because if you're spending $90,000 between 2 cars, we're not talking Toyota Corollas like I drive, okay? And I have 2 luxury cars, yada yada. Oh, and then I have a pension, right?
My wife. I've been ready for a long time.
Because you need to really be ready, because I'm getting ready to sell everything in your life.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. What did I say? Take the 2 cars, sell them, downsize them, or at least get rid of one. I would say both. What did I say? Take the house, downsize that. Way, 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 way down. All right? That's what you do. You get rid of all the extra crap. It's amazing, people. When you are in debt and you really, you know how you know when you're ready to get out of debt? You're ready to get out of debt when you can look at all the stuff around you, and all of a sudden that stuff all that glitters, look like gold and crystal, you realize it's just crap. That's when you are at the point. That is the walking in the door point that you realize, I'm ready to get out of debt. That car that you swore was the car of your dreams, that you set yourself up on for a $650 a month, or what was it one person had, $750 a month payment on. When you look at it and go, oh my God, this is just a bunch of metal. All right. When you can look at that house that you bought that is a ridiculous size for what you need, and you realize it's just drywall. I'm paying for a whole lot of drywall. That's the point where you start to begin, I want out. But so long as you look at that stuff and you are still holding emotional, sentimental, ego. Oh, but what are people going to think if I don't have this, or if I drive this? Oh, hell, folks, I've ridden a bicycle to work. I rode a bicycle to work for, about maybe half a school year. I've ridden a scooter to work. Okay. When you can get to the point where you don't care, except the goal is to get out of debt. When you can get to that point, okay, that's when you know you're ready to start really, really getting out of debt. When the things that you used to value, that you owe on, okay, they're not paid off, but you still owe on them, and all of a sudden you go, oh my God, why did I buy that?
I'm ready. I mean, but
sell both.
He doesn't sound ready. Oh, hold on. We got to hear what Ramsey says. Let's hear it.
Rental properties in both cars this week.
Snaps. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I feel vindicated. Don't you guys? Don't, because I know somebody out there was thinking the same thing. Sell those the properties ain't worth crap. He owes on them. I mean, one property, what was it? $15,000. He said it was worth like 325, and he still owes 315. So what did he do? Just buy that property yesterday? Yeah, sell all that stuff and downsize that house. Take that house from 900,000, take it all the way down to 400,000. The relief you feel when you are out of debt, or at least when you have control of your debt. When I say control of your debt, I mean you have a savings account. You feel like you're kind of in balance, okay? When you feel like you have control, you can breathe. I know I sound like John Delaney, John? Yeah, John here, okay? It's true, though. I see it. I know he gets a lot of ribbing about the word breathe and are you safe, but I've even been known to rib him a time or two. But really, I understand it. When my $110,000 student loan was forgiven, okay, and last year, 2022, I literally felt like something just overcame me. I didn't even cry when it was forgiven because it'd been around with me so long, okay, but it was like, oh my God. And pretty soon the whole world changed. It was like, okay, this is the first, I kid you not. When I found out it was forgiven, I was at work. And I remember driving home going, this is $110,000 student loan forgiven. This is the first time I've driven home in 16 years with no student loan. This is the first time I've cooked dinner in 16 years with no student loan. This is the first time I've gone to bed, woken up, brushed my teeth, made lunch. And the big one was, this is the first time in 16 years I've driven to work with no student loan. You breathe, you relax, and you don't realize how tense you are until that debt goes away. It's the same thing with relationships, okay? You don't realize when you're in the wrong relationship, you don't realize how tense you are. It's only when that relationship ends, be it through you or someone, be it through you or your partner, when it's a true mismatch, it's just like, oh my God, I didn't realize how tense I was. Debt does the same thing to you. But I feel happy that Dave said to sell both cars and property. We knew he would, but I also knew that too.
So all three properties?
No, they're both rental properties and both cars.
Yeah. Okay.
Does he sound like he's ready to sell it to you? Does he sound like he is? Juxtapose him with the first call. Okay? Does this guy, what's his name? Michael? Does Michael really sound ready? It's just something to think about.
All right.
Get you two $5,000 cars.
Yeah.
You make $210,000. So now you have you have your home, and you will have $210,000 left minus. So you're going to have about $150,000 left in debt, and you make $210,000, and you're going to pay that off in 2 years.
The hardest part, though, well, that all sounds good on paper. Remember what he said, audience? Do we remember what he said? I've lived like this my entire life. If his psyche up here isn't ready to change, he can do all that, but guess what will happen? People who have not learned how to manage money will go, oh my goodness, all of a sudden all this money is available. So guess what we can do? Guess what we can do? We can spend it. Just like the video I did earlier this morning. Okay? As soon as the money is available, boom, spend it.
The only problem is I just got these properties a few months ago, and I did it on a 1031 exchange.
I don't care.
And I'm going to be taxed heavily.
Who cares, dude? You're $300,000 in non-mortgage debt. Sometimes the taxation is better than carrying the debt. It is.
I don't care.
Doesn't matter. All right.
Your life sucks.
It does. It does suck. I wouldn't want to be him. Nope. No. But remember what he said earlier. I pay my bills. We have to be careful when we are trying to peel our way out of debt that our ego does not interfere with logic. All right? We have to be careful. I suspect that this guy's ego is not going to allow him to do everything that Ramsey says if he does anything that Ramsey says. Because someone like this guy who says he's lived like this his whole life, what he's saying is, I've lived above and beyond my means my whole life. I've lived, I suspect, to impress other people my whole life. You'll really know who your friends are when you say, well, it looks like I've sold the two $90,000 cars. I've sold the 2 pieces of land. Don't forget the 60 something or other student loan. How many people does he know that are his truest friends? True friends. Your true friends don't give a crap what you make or don't make. They really don't.
You're drowning, man.
Yeah.
You have so
Well, I
much
got one
crap
more
in
for
your
you.
life that is not producing joy.
Well, if I can tell you one more thing, I've got an alimony of $2,000 a month that's never going to go away until I die.
Okay.
He gets alimony. Wait, he gets it or the other person? Hold on. Let's. He said, I've got alimony. Hold on.
That's $24,000 out of 210.
Yeah.
That doesn't keep us from getting out of debt.
Okay, he pays that. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Right.
So
$2,000 on his income, if he didn't own 2 pieces of ridiculous property and 2 ridiculous cars, on his income, $2,000 alimony isn't a budget breaker. On his income. It's not a budget breaker. It can be managed.
24 and 75 is 100 out of 210. You're going to live on 210 and you're going to be debt free in 2 years and you're going to sell everything except your personal residence.
Okay, so
Did he remember this? I think he remembered the student loan.
I'll tell you what I'm reacting to. I'm reacting to the tone of your voice when you called in.
Let's see if he says the same thing I said. I don't think this guy's ready to take these steps.
Sounded so overwhelmed, so despondent, so stuck that it sounded to me like you were willing to do almost anything. And that's where I am. That's where I am. I think you should feel that way because you feel like this 12 freaking years this stuff's been hanging around your neck and you make all this money and you're a PA and you can't get traction.
Now let's compare. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. I've been divorced almost 10 years. Okay, so we're just going to say 3-year difference, all right? I'm almost the same age. Okay, I think he said 59, I'm 56. So we are pretty good side by side here. I'm on a teacher's income. And in 10 years, my income has gone from 50 to 60,000. Okay? This dude is making a whole lot more. So where we're both divorced. Okay? This is what I mean by it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Look at where he is 12 years later. And again, I recognize there's a 3-year, 36-month difference, but that's negligible as far as I'm concerned. Okay? Look at where he is 12 years after divorce. And look at where I am 12 years after divorce. We see? I don't have anything showy and flashy but an 840 square foot condo that's paid off. I don't have anything showy and flashy but a Toyota Corolla that I lease that if I wanted to buy it, I could pay that sucker off in 10 months. I just don't want to own a car. We're not going to debate that. If you've watched this channel, I ain't changing my mind. I really like leasing. It is a perk that I enjoy, and I intend to stick with it. I started at 50, and I have no intention of going back and owning a car. I save 30% of my income now since I became completely debt-free September 2023. So I've not been totally debt-free that long, but I save 30% of my income into retirement. Okay? This is why. This is how 2 people on 2 totally different planets when it comes to income, everybody I can pretty much assure you, would look at this guy and say, that's the person I want to go out with. This guy right here, he's got all this stuff. Right? Without knowing what the financials are behind it. Okay? And then somebody could look at me and go, well, she don't have that much. I mean, she lives in a little condo. She's a school teacher and she drives a Toyota Corolla. And that's all you know about me. But the question then becomes, who do you think has your back financially? This guy or me? You see my point?
You are so freaking stuck, it's unbelievable, and you can't breathe. And that's what I heard. Did I miss something?
Nope, you nailed it.
My gut hunch says he's not ready to give up this much, if any of it.
And every time you walk into that hospital to help other people, you've got 14 cinder blocks in your own backpack. Is that fair?
Yeah, at least.
Brother, you got to set that pack down.
You got a bunch of crap in your life, man.
Put it down, man.
Just stuff. $90,000 worth of cars?
$90,000 worth of two properties aren't even the state you live in. at least I know one of them isn't in the state. I don't remember what the other state was.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But that's because I'm willing to bet. He says he's lived like this his whole life. So perhaps this is generationally learned. Okay? When he says he's lived it his whole life. Now, that doesn't mean his parents may or may not have lived like that. But it is a possibility. Okay? Or he had parents who were just simply, he's my age. So if you think about the age of our parents, they lived during the time when, you know, one parent could work. My parents, when we were growing up, 4 kids, before they divorced, 4 kids, a house on a hill, I kid you not, 2 cars, and they were not clunkers, modest summer vacations, camping, YMCA, all the sports and, ballet, dance we could possibly suck up, okay? Occasionally, the whole family would go fly to Salt Lake City, Utah, and visit the relatives, all right? Today, what do I get? And I make probably double what my parents made on the dollars, but because of inflation, yeah, yep, no kids, and have to watch every penny. So if he's comparing how he was raised by his parents, who may have come during that, a more economically booming time compared to what we are in today. Oh, there's my Alexa. Compared to what we are today, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. But if he is not ready to change his mind frame, then I'm not convinced he is. And I've listened to a lot of these calls, and it's just my gut hunch. He's not ready.
Who are you impressing, man?
I know.
There we go. Snaps for me. Snap. Oh, it may be 11 p.m., folks, but I'm on a roll.
I'm not asking that in a jerk way, but there's something in you that says I need $1 million+ house.
Because, as he said, it's how he's lived. If I tried to live like my parents raised me, folks, we are the generation of we are not going to be better off than our parents. We're not. Okay? And if your parents don't have any sort of generational wealth to hand down to you, all right, that could potentially be an even bigger challenge.
And these...
Well, I mean, he's in Sacramento. It's not a big house.
Yeah, that's a 3-2. And 2 expensive cars and 2 homes. Something's telling you that you're not good enough, man.
He's buying it for ego purposes. He's buying it for ego. Part of that ego, I believe, is what he feels about himself and his self-worth. And then the ego is further fed when you can tell other people that you own all this stuff. This is why I've learned, don't get jealous. Don't get jealous by people who have stuff. You can get jealous after you know what their portfolio is like, but good luck in finding that out.
What is it?
Yeah.
This didn't happen all at once. This has been death by 1,000 cuts, layer upon layer upon layer. This stuff is built up and then it never goes away. So it's a cumulative effect.
I'll solve it by adding something else.
12 years ago thing. We got a student loan that's still hanging around after all these years. Then we go buy cars, and now we roll these houses into a 1031. So you're going to get hammered on taxes out the backside. So you're going to have $100,000 in taxes?
Wow.
Probably, yeah.
Damn. $100,000 in taxes. Oh. But that 100 grand will still be less than what he currently has. But do you see how is the word as unvaluable? Do you see how unimportant stuff becomes? It's just stuff, you guys. It's stuff. And stuff is fine. Stuff is great. It's awesome. It can be wonderful when you can afford it. Okay? If you've watched this channel a few times, okay, I have my vice, my hidden vice. Okay? I have a storage locker that holds 25 comforters. My friends just roll their eyes. 25 luxury Macy's, Hotel, Dillard's, Southern Living comforters. Yes, because there's no room here to put 25 comforters. But here's the thing. I started collecting comforters about, probably about 3 years ago or so, 4 years ago. And here's something that's interesting. I continued my comforter collection when I during the time that I was paying off my condo. Yeah, I continued it because figure I've been in the condo since 2020, and I decided I wanted comforters. I love bedding. I'm one of those people who can crawl in bed at 6 p.m. I'm not going to sleep. I just like to spend a lot of time in bed. That's just, I think I get it from my aunt. She used to hang out in her bed all the time. Like if you went to visit her and then you weren't there to eat dinner, you pretty much just sat at the edge of her bed, where it sit, or if my uncle wasn't in bed, he was usually outdoors doing something. And my aunt and I would just sit in bed and we'd talk for hours and hours. Absolutely love her. So I kind of say that's where I got it from. But yeah, I spend a lot of money on my bedding. But I got the comforters, $500 comforters. You buy them when they go on clearance for like $150. You're nuts if you think I spend $500 on a comforter. No, I'm not going to do that. But I realized I need a place to put them all. Okay? I love every one. And I love them even more for the fact that it's all paid off. It was never, ever, ever stuck on a credit card where it collected interest. And I can afford it totally fine, along with the locker. Absolutely comfortable. That stuff doesn't keep me awake at night. Putting it all on a credit card would sure as heck keep me awake at night. So it's okay to have, and this is what I've learned, it's okay to have your little fun vices. It's okay. Some people like to have a wine collection. They love their wine. I have a girlfriend who loves her wine. Okay? I have a couple of them who love their wine, who love their wine. All right? And if they can afford it, let them have it. Have a wine wall. I have friends who just love their wine. It's okay to have your little comforts. But you just don't want, but when you owe on it, all of a sudden those comforts don't feel like comforts. They feel like knives stabbing you.
You can have a lot.
15% of what? Yeah. What do you think your gain is that you rolled into these?
My gain will probably, because I put 80,000 down on one and 70,000 down on the other.
That's not what you put down has nothing to do with the calculation of your gain. How much capital gains did you roll into this 1031?
I was told my taxes will be, if I were to cash out, about $50,000.
Okay, good. That's all.
Take
That's
it.
what I thought then. 30%. Good.
Take it. Take the tax hit. There are times when it's better to take the tax hit. It's just like with student loans, okay? People do need to be aware that when your student loans are forgiven, okay, you pay taxes on them. But through 2024, you won't have to pay taxes on forgiven student loans, even if you're not PSLF. Isn't that wonderful? So even if you are not public service loan forgiveness, all right, where you would normally be taxed on your forgiven student loan because it's considered debt, through 2024 with the IRS, you will not be taxed on it. Taxes start again on forgiven student loans in 2025. So if you're up for student loan forgiveness and you are not public service, okay, you're not teacher, firefighter, social worker, okay, public service industry, you are not that, where your taxes would normally, where your forgiven student loan debt would normally be taxed. Your student loan company has until midnight, December 31st this year, to get you forgiven, because God, I'm going to say, I feel so sorry for the sucker who gets their loan forgiven on January 2nd, 2025, because guess what? Or January 1st, 2025, they owe taxes on it. But the person who gets their student loan forgiven before December 31st at midnight doesn't have to pay tax. Guys, the world is not fair. It is not fair.
It's only $50,000. This is the price of cleaning up your life.
Yes, it is the price of us learning the hard way, okay, that we must live within our means, preferably even under.
Yes.
So, basically you're going to get enough out of these properties to pay your taxes and be free. So that's a wash. We're going to sell the cars for close to a wash. And so now you have $210,000 left. I was wrong earlier. It's not $150 because of the capital gains bill. I said $160, $150, but it's going to be $210. I didn't have a $50,000 capital gains bill in there, but now I do. So you're still, so how fast do you pay off $210, making $210?
Like the little gazelle. Just run. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it.
3 years at $70,000.
How does a gazelle run? I really don't know.
Okay.
And that means you have $110,000 to live on after you pay alimony and $70,000 towards debt for 3 years, and you're 100% debt free. How old are you?
54.
You want to be debt free when you're 57? This is how you do it.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. Sell both cars, sell both rental properties, and then hit your plan.
Hard.
All
Nothing.
right.
He needs to call up the guy that we did the first video on. Okay, I can't remember his name. He needs to call up the first dude and say, now, what did you do? You took an EMS job afterwards, and you're working basically, 7 days a week.
Nothing else. Complete focus.
And he and Michael here, he don't have a wife to worry about, so he can have at it.
Like, I'm so pissed off. I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired that I have not only sold this stuff, I'm going to sell 2 of the kids if they don't hide.
All right, folks. It is definitely the late night hour. I can do this when it's not a school night. Okay, folks. This was fun. The tea was nice and hot, warm to the touch. All right, but it's time for me to hit the hay. I am Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I would like to thank you for joining me here on this very, very late, almost midnight episode of Student Loan Chit-Chat. I hope you will consider subscribing, and I wish you a blessed and wonderful Saturday night. Goodbye.